So good afternoon. So let me just continue our topic for statistical analysis. So for our second topic, we have the population samples and probability distribution. So pag sinabi natin population samples and probability distribution, these are all the tools that you need to perform statistical analysis, right? So first we need to discuss what is a population. So population refers to the physical collection of interest as well as to the collection of measurement of or categories derived from the physical collection. So physical collection meaning it must be tangible. The population is the physical collection. The derived set of measurement categories is called the set of values of the variable of interest. A population commonly contains too many individuals to study conveniently. So an investigation is often restricted to one or more samples drawn from it, especially if you're trying to do or in the future you need to do your feasibility study as well as your capstone. You need to identify your population. A population commonly contains too many individuals to study conveniently. That's why we need to restrict our population and to get a sample of one or more from it. A well-chosen sample will contain most of the information about particular population parameter, but the relation between the sample and the population must be set to allow true inferences to be made about population from that sample. So for example, this one, on the figure, you have your population, the whole population, and you need to get a sample. You get a portion of it randomly, or do you have a special tool or how you do it? And then all those highlighted individuals are collected and we call it a sample. From there, we identify what kind of study are we going to get from this sample. After we get the data, it undergoes inferences. So inferences meaning you do the statistics, the statistical analysis, and from that result, you can interpret now what is the behavior of the whole population. So ganun yung ginagawa natin. We're not doing the statistical analysis of all through of the whole population rather. We are not going to evaluate the whole population. It could be tedious for us, and at the same time, it's such a waste of time, prone to error, too vague. It will take you a lot of time for you to do it. So that's why we need to get a right amount of sample, not too big that you cater the whole population, but also not too small. Okay, that is how you define a sample. Now, how do we get a sample out of a population? We do it by doing the random sampling. Random sampling is a way of selecting a sample of observation from a population in order to make inferences about the population. For example, exit polls from voters that aim to predict the likely result of an election. Random sampling is also known as probability sample. Kaya yung maririnig nyo sa yung mga like for example, yung Family Feud is a good example of random sampling kasi nag-serve parang kung halimbawa si Steve Harvey is trying to explain how he get the information. Sabihin niya survey 100 people to check if what is the ganyan. What is the best popular dish in the US that nabibigay siya ng mga tanong niya. You call it a random sampling because you're not trying to get a specific portion or ethnicities or race or someone who has yes. You're not trying to get, kasi kailan ba siya magiging hindi na random? When, for example, yun nga, sa election polls, yun sa mga Pulse Asia. So, hindi siya magiging, or hindi natin masasabi na reliable ang isang survey once you choose the most likely favorable to that one particular candidate, for example, kasi the result we're leaning towards the person na they support. So that's why we need to do a random sampling. Regardless of any circumstances, we want to make sure that the result of our sample will most likely be reflected to the whole population. Now, we have the levels of measurement. The levels of measurement or scale of measure is a classification that describes the nature of information within the values assigned to variables. Now, for example, we have the 1, 2, 3. We have 3 types of level of measurement. We have the numerical scale, the ordinal scale, the nominal scale. So nakarank yan accordingly. So pinakamababa na type of levels of measurement is the nominal scale, followed by the ordinal, and then followed by the numerical scale. The numerical scales is divided into 2 parts, which is the discrete and the continuous. Now, how do you define those two? Explain natin yan later. But for example, if you want to discuss the nominal scale example is present, not present, on and off, male and female. So yun yung example na nominal scale. For ordinal scale, we have the rank among patient. Let's say, yung valedictorian, salutatorian, personal world mention, yun mga example. For discrete, it is considered as yung mga counting numbers, like the number of polyps, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, for continuous, it defines as yung excluding na yung mga mga fraction. Like for example, percentage of invasion, or about 1.5, 1.28, we call it a continuous level of measurement. For nominal scale, we are using the nominal scale when you put observation into categories that have no numerical relationship to each other. So for example, yung nga, male and female. Hindi naman pwedeng sabihin na si male is dominant na male, na female. Or rather the other way around. The female is dominant with the male. So hindi natin alam yung ranking ng dalawa. So yun yung mahirap gawan ng study, or hindi natin siya ma-relate into quantitative unless we interpret that kind of relationship into qualitative. Kaso hindi nga. So that's why it is categorized as the lowest form of level of measurement. For example, the sex, our sex, yun nga, yung gender, male or female, occupation, color of eyes, state of residence. When choosing categories for nominal scale, it is necessary that there be a class for each observation and that no longer belong to one class. The ordinal scale is a higher level of measurement than the nominal scale. We are using the ordinal scale if you want to rank the observation. For example, we could rank the pellets of 10 foxes from lightest to color to the darkest. When the ordinal scale is used, it gives some numerical information about the categories, but underlying classification need not to be enumerated as if in this case of the color of the pellets. For example, agree, disagree. So that is considered an ordinal scale. Agree, somewhat agree, disagree. So parang ganun. Meron siyang ranking, but not necessarily can be converted into numerical. Discrete numerical, when the observation are naturally numerical, the scale is uniform, and there is a built-in limit on how precisely the measurement can be taken. If data are on a discrete numerical scale, there are only a finite number of values possible, or possibly a countable infinity, as many as the counting numbers. Example are the number of offspring. So wala namang kalahating offspring. Hindi, wala namang 1.5 offspring. The number of rooms in a house, number of quarts of milk ordered by the supermarket, the values of coin, shoe sizes, and the number of wells drilled. In short, it is all whole numbers. Kung kasama na yung mga fraction, we call it the continuous. The continuous numerical scale is the highest level of measurement. A value is continuous when the values are measurement in the common meaning of that term. That is, scale is uniform and the observation are as precise as pictures. Continuous variables theoretically can assume as many values as there are real numbers. In practice, we measure in whole numbers or to a few decimal places, so the data are collected on a discrete numerical scale, but theoretically there is a more precise underlying scale of measurement. For example, weight, blood pressure, age, length, and temperature. Okay, we try to answer this. Okay, letter A, what is the highest level of measurement possible for each of the following variables? So sabihin nyo lang dito kung ito ba ay nominal, ordinal, numerical, discrete numerical scale, or continuous. Okay, letter A, daily high temperature for a given year in Chicago. Ano kaya to?
Continuous po, sir.
Yes, continuous. Letter B, marital status of the applicant for a particular job. Nominal, yes. Kasi hindi naman natin pwedeng i-rank yung single, married, gano'n. Wala siyang equivalent. Okay, class standings at the university, freshman, sophomore, etc. Ordinal, yes. Letter D, colors of roses. Nominal. Weight of all American-made cars. Continuous, yes. Number in attendance per day at a particular high school. Discrete, yes. And birthdays of people in a certain group. And in letter G, birthdays of people. Discrete. Anymore? Can be nominal, yes. Ano pa? Okay. So, it can be a nominal. Yeah. Pwede din naman na ordinal if we try to connect the birthdays to age. So, pwede siya maging ordinal na mas or pwede natin sabihin, yeah, ordinal, yeah. Okay. Then for discrete probability distribution, we have, wala siya na-explain, no? Discrete probability distribution, the probability distribution, kapag in-explain, ano ba? Ang probability distribution kasi, ito na yung parang ini-interpret natin, the inferences of doing or getting the information, the data out of a sample. So the process of that, we call it the discrete probability distribution. And it is, since discrete nga siya, it pertains to to counting numbers, the whole number only. For example, a manufacturer of baby food gives samples of 2 types of baby cereal, A and B, to a random sample of 4 mothers. Type A is the manufacturer's brand, type B are competitors. The mothers are asked to report which type they prefer. The manufacturer wants to detect any preferences for their cereal if it exists. So yung A is the baby food A, yung B is the baby food B. So inassume natin na ang possible outcomes is we have 4 mothers will choose B, 3 mothers will choose B, and then a mother A, and then yon. We arrange it, second mother will choose A, the third mother will choose A, the fourth mother will choose A. Pag dito, almost pares lang, or tig 2. Pero yung arrangement, yun yung nagkaiba. Dito is ganun din, although lamang ang A. And then finally, all mother preferred baby food A. Now the question is, type is manufactured by the mother are asked to report which type they prefer. So we try to get the, or we want to know na ano yung magiging prediction. So the value of discrete random variable y together with their associated probabilities are called the probability function. And py is called the probability function. In order for a probability function to be in order for py to be a probability function, 2 conditions are necessary. First, that all of the value must not be less than 0 and also must not be greater than or equal to 1. Kasi nga, probability to, so ibig sabihin, yung chances of success natin will be from no chances at all to 100% chance. Okay? Kaya 0 to 1. And then number 2, that the sum of all the probability function is equal to 1. When you try to add all of the values, dapat equal to 1. For example, this one. Yung mother, yung mother na, let's say, yung mother na may gusto ng A ay wala. So ano yung chance na yun? Na puro B lang ang sasagot nila. So that is 1. Merong isa kasi. Yung B, 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 B. For one mother that choose na meron lang pumili ng isang A, that is 4/16. Kasi 1, 2, 3, 4. So meron tayong 4/16 chances. For P2, yung dalawa yung gusto ng A, ito yun, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So we have 6/16. For 3, ayan yung 3 A's, meron tayong 1, 2, 3, 4. And then finally, yung value na walang, or sorry, lahat gusto ay A. So meron tayong 1. Okay? Now, if you try to add this fraction, that is 1, 5, 11, 15, 16. So 16/16 is equal to 1. So we relate this to the conditions that yung zero value, or sorry, yung PY mo must not be less than 0 and also less than or equal to 0, but not lower than or equal to 1. And as much as possible, all those values must be equal to 1. So we consider this one as a probability function. Now, if we try to test the hypothesis using discrete probability function, for example, a new salesperson for a company is told that the probability of making a sale on a single cell is 1/4. Single call. So, ibig sabihin daw, ano daw yung chance na yung itong salesman will get a customer right away. So, ang probability daw niya na makakuha ng isang pasahero ay 1 kada 4 na pasahero. Sorry, Isa kada apat na customer. Pasero ba? Pasero. Isa kada apat na customer. So, nag-try siya. So, the salesperson called on 7 people and makes no sale. So, tumawag siya ng 7, wala siya nakuha. From finally, on an 8th attempt, a sale is completed. Yung sa pang-8 niya, nakuha niya yun, nakakuha siya ng sale. The salesperson wonder if there is any evidence at the 0.05 level of significant that the probability of 1/4 per sale is too high. Okay. So for that, we have 1/4. Okay. So, nung isa yung tinawag niya, meron siyang 1/4. Now, yung sa 2, dun sa chances niya of getting as 2 is 316. So, paano nangyari yun? 1/4 times 3/4. Okay? That is, yung chances mo of getting multiplied by the chances of not getting. So, you have 3/16. Now, tumawag ka ulit of getting 3. Chances of getting 3, we have 1/4 times 3/4 times 3/4. So we have 1 times 3 times 3, we have 9. 4 times 4 is 16. Times 4 is 64. So it's not 65, it's 64. And so on the process. So in chances mo minus the chances of multiplied by the chances of not getting it. So 27/256, 81/1024, 243/496, 429/16,384, and 2187/65536. If you try to get it on a fractional basis, that's 1/4 is 0.25, 3/16 is 0.1875, and so on. So, eto, nung unang tawag niya, ano yung chances niya na makakuha? 0.25 lang. Yung pangalawang tawag niya, ang chances niya na makakuha is 0.1875. 3, and so on, and so on. Now, nung pang-8 niya, doon na siya nakatawag. So that is 0.0334. If you try to get the probability of all of this na hindi siya nakatawag, that is 0.8655. Pag inad mo itong lahat na to. Then, pag inad mo to na 0.334 plus 0.30334, that is equal to what? So, in short, it considered as a probability function. Okay. Okay. So, for example, if the table above represents a probability distribution, what is the value of 8? Or P8, sorry. Ano daw ang value nito? Two over 6. 1, 3, 4, 5. 1 over 6. It's 1 over 6. Why? Kasi, di ba nga, ang sum nito is must be 1. So, 1 over 1 plus 2 is 3, plus 1 is 4, plus 1 is 5. So, ang kulang na lang is 1 over 6 to make it equal to 1. Okay? Nakuha ba yan? Yes. Okay. Number 2, find the value if P is if Py is greater than, sorry, less than or equal to 6. Ano yung value? What is the value of y if y is less than or equal to 6? Ano yung magiging value natin? Ito muna tayo, dito muna. What is the value? Yeah, 4/6. Bakit? Kasi pinag-add lang natin tong tatlong to. Less than or equal to 6. 2, 4, 6 ang mga involved. Okay, if P daw is y is less than 6, ano kayang value? 3/6 or 1/2. Yeah, kasi ito naman yan. And then last, P is parehas lang. And then ito ay P is greater than or equal to 6. One half ulit. Yeah. Kasi ito ay 1/6 plus 1/6 plus 1/6. 6 is 3, 6 or 1/2. Okay, number 2, if Py is 1/5 for the value of Py 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Show that this is a probability distribution. How can you say that this one is considered a probability distribution if Py is equals to 1, 5 for the values of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5? Anyone? How can you say that it is considered a probability distribution? Anyone? Or how can you say? Yes. Kasi kung equal lahat sila sa 1/5, then 1/5 times 5 is 5/5 or 1. Okay, now letter B. Find y is greater than or greater than 3. What is the value? Greater than 3. Anong value niya? 2/5, yes. How about yung pangalawa? Y is equals to 3. 1/5, yes. How about yung ito. P is y is less than or equal to 3. Less than or equal to 3. 3/5, yes. And then finally, y is less than 3. 2 over, okay? Now, we have the expected value of probability distribution. Since probability distribution are the key to statistical inferences, it is helpful to study some of their characteristics. Two useful characteristics of probability distribution are its expected value and its variance. So yung kanina, yung mga binabanggit natin na 1/5 or 5, 316, ganyan, so on. These are all the chances of getting, or the chances of success rather. Now, if you want to make the real value or the actual value, we call it the expected value. Expected value is a measure of the location of the distribution, while variance is a measure of its spread. To introduce the idea of the expected value, let us consider an electronic game that involves hitting a random target. To make the game sufficiently challenging to hand-eye coordination, it is programmed so that the position of the target, the moment that the target appears, the number of the target that appeared during the period of play all vary. The number of target appears that to appear can be 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, or 16. They occur randomly and with equal frequency over a large number of periods of play. A player of the game is unable to predict the number of targets that will appear during any one playing period, but the player can determine the expected number of targets, that is the average number per playing session, if the number is played many times. So expected value is somehow the real value of the real value of the situation. Like for example, the expected value daw is the summation of y, p, y. So, halimbawa, eto, yung 11 daw, the chances of getting is 1/6, right? So 11 times 1/6 is 11/6. 12 times 1/6 is 12/6, 14, so on, 14/6. If we try to add this one, that is equal to 81/6 or 13.5. So that is the expected value. So if we try to get the assumption for this one, na ang targets is 11, 12, 13, 14, most likely, all of the targets will appear to be on the 13 and the 14 side. Kasi 13.5 ang result natin. Na expected value natin na mas marami ang chances that the target will be on the 13 and the 14. Okay? So, yun lang naman yung in-imply na expected value. Ano yung real value for that? Now, the variance is the measure of the spread of the distribution line. So, kung mapapansin nyo kanina dito, yan, yung spread na yan, yung relationship between the spread, we call it the variance. In electronic game, the random variable y had values of 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, or 16 with equal frequency. The deviation of these values from the expected value 13.5 are, ang formula doon natin is y minus the expected value squared by. Variance, we measure the spread of the distribution, the larger the distance, the larger the spread. Kung kukunin natin yung square root noon, we call it the standard deviation. Okay? Now, for example, a teacher gives frequent short quizzes that consist of 2 multiple choice questions. Each question is followed by 4 answers and only one is correct. Because these quizzes are so short, the teacher wonders if they can be useful for determining which student have learned the material. The teacher decides to find out how many questions a student can be expected to answer correctly if the student has no knowledge of the material and is choosing answer in a random fashion. On a single question, the probability of a correct guess is 1/4. Say A, B, C, D. Because each answer is equally likely to be chosen, only one answer is correct. For 2 questions, the number of correct responses can be 0, 1, 2, and the probability distribution, which is a model of the number of correct responses under guessing is. So for example daw, for this example, meron dalawang tanong. So yung chances daw of getting a 0 correct answer is 9/16. Yung chances naman daw of getting 1 correct answer is 6/6. So nakikita nyo, ano nangyayari dito sa problem na to? Habang ikaw ay most likely going to a perfect score, your probability of success is lowered. Kasi kung mapapansin nyo, dahil nga ang kanyang value, the chances of getting a correct answer is only 1/4. So, ibig sabihin, mas mataas ang chances of, mas mababa ang chances of failure. So, kaya, the chances of getting a 0 correct answer out of the 2 questions is high, 9/16. Compare mo kung ma-perfect mo yung dalawang tanong, which is 1/16. Okay. Now, question is this problem a probability function? Yun muna ang ating tinitingnan lagi. Probability function ba siya? Yes, kasi 9/16 over 6/16 and 1/16 is equal to 1. Now, how do they get the value of 9/16? How did they get the value of 16? 9/16. That is the probability of failure is 3/4 multiplied by the probability of or the chances of failure. Kasi 1/4 of chances of success, ito ang value ng chances of failure. So 3 times 3 over 4 times 4 is 9/16. How about yung ito? 6/16. How do we get 3/16? Well, how do you get it? The probability of success for 2 is 1/4. Then the probability of yung getting a 2 answer is also 1/4, which makes you 1/16. Now, if you consider it a probability function, 1 minus 3/4 minus 1/16 is 6/16. So, kaya natin nakuha yung mga values na yan. Okay? Then, if you try to get the expected value first, tama ba? Expected value, walang kinuha. No. Nakarekta na pala siya. Na variance. Okay, so the expected value is 0 times 9/16 is 0. Yung 1 times 6/16 is 6/16, and 2 times 1/16 is 2/16. If we try to get the sum of it, we can get the expected value. Now, if we try to square the y, so that is 0 squared times 9/16 is 0. 1 squared times 6/16 is 6/16. And 2 squared 4 times 1/16 is 4/16. Which gives you a value of 10/16 or 5/8. Okay, that's it for the probability distribution, probability, population, and sum. Okay, question?
Sir, pwede pong pakiulit kung paano po nakuha yung 6/16. Medyo hindi lang po nasundan.
Okay. Yung 6/16 is nirelate ko siya sa dito. 1 and 2. Yung probability, balik tayo dito para sa isang slide. Okay. Yung probability of success for this one, to get a 0 value, the probability of failure is 3/4, right? Then, ang probability natin to get, probability of failure is 3/4. The probability of getting 0 is also 3/4. So, which makes you 9/16. Now, since you want to get a perfect score, that is the probability of success 1/4 from a 1/4 probability of chances of success. So, which gets you 1/16. So, if you want to make it probability function, we just add these two, 9/16 and 1/16, which makes you 10/16 minus 1 to get a 6/16, which is the value of getting 1. Okay?
Okay pa, sir. Thank you po.
Any more question? Okay. Okay, if wala ng question, then let's move on with another topic, the binomial probability distribution. I may not finish this one. I'm not sure kung kaya ko na tapusin because I needed to include the AutoCAD on our discussion for today. So, kung ano lang muna matapos natin, then we'll stop there and we go on to the next subject. Okay, the next topic is about the binomial distribution. Actually, there are several probability distribution that are being used depending on the application. So, meron tayo for discrete like this one, the binomial distribution. And then we have for continuous probability distribution, we have the chi-square, the normal distribution, the chi-square, normal distribution, student t-test, yan. For discrete, we have the binomial and the Poisson. Yung Poisson will be discussed next week. Okay, let's define first the binomial distribution. The nature of binomial distribution rules is that if P is a probability, 0 is greater than, the P is greater than or equal to 0 but less than or equal to 1. So yung pa rin, pina-follow pa rin natin na yung probability, the chances are within 0 to 100%. If A and bar A are two mutual exclusive events that are together, include all of the possible outcomes, then yung sum daw nila must be equal to 1. So, two events lang ang pinag-usapan natin dito. A and B are mutually exclusive. They are non-overlapping. PAB is equal to 0. Now, for the addition rule, the probability of specified outcome is the sum of the probabilities of the mutually exclusive event making up that outcome. Multiplication rule, the probability of an event that is simultaneous occurrence of two or more independent events is the product of the probabilities of the two events. Two events, A and B, are independent if the occurrences or non-occurrences of A has no effect on the probability of B and vice versa. So we'll explain that further. Okay, go on again with the similar problem, just like we had on the previous topic. For this one, it's the same case, but rather it becomes differentiated with the classification. Before we uses brand of milk, right? So now we distinguish this as 1 and 0 lang kasi ang dinedefine niya dito is O, which is the dominant blood type, versus the non-O or non-type O, which is yung A, AB, tsaka B. So, since dominant ang blood type O, ginawa lang natin siya na parang if you try to add all the blood type A, B, and AB individuals, you add them all up, it will only be as equal as type O. So, yun lang naman yung ini-imply nitong problem na to. So, there's no way that we can get exact information about the entire population since this group is so large. It has been estimated that the proportion of wait lang tawag. Okay, so merong commercial. Isa na nga tayo. Okay. So it has been estimated that the proportion of people with type O blood is 0.4. So you see, napakalaki, 40% of all the population, 40% are all blood type O. Assume that the estimated is correct. If we observe a single person selected at random, the probability that person will have a blood type O is 0.4, and the probability that the person will not have the blood type O is 0.6, meaning blood type A, blood type B, and blood type AB. Okay, so na-explain na tong probability rules. So there are only two possible outcomes for binomial experiment. So the success and the failure. So parang gato lang yan, true or false, 0 and 1. So yung mga ganon. With PS is equals to pi, and P, probability of success is pi, the probability of failure is 1 minus pi. The experiment is repeated n times that there are n trials. The probability of success is pi is constant from trial to trial, meaning kung 0.4 siya, sa next ano naman is 0.4 pa rin siya. The trials are independent of each other, and we are interested in y, the number of success, with y 0, 1, 2, and n. So the symbol ny is read as the number of combination of n things taken one at a time. So haba, di ba? Or ny. Hindi n over y, ny na lang. Is read as the number of combination of n things taken y at a time. So ang formula niya is n factorial over y factorial n minus y factorial. Ano nga factorial? How do you define factorial? Or paano ba natin ginagawa ang factorial? For example, I have 3 factorial. Anong ibig sabihin nun? Ano ibig sabihin ng 3 factorial? Yes. Yung arithmetic multiplication niya. Like 3 times 2 times 1, kung 3 factorial, 4 factorial, 4 times 3 times 2 times 1. Okay. So you're ready to do this sa formula. So the symbol ny can be applied to the blood type example. So yung 4-2 means that the number of different places that 2 O's can appear in a sequence of 4 symbols. So, ibig sabihin yan, sa 4 na tines, ano daw yung chances na magkakaroon ng dalawang may O na blood type. Okay. So, paano makakuha yun? Paano natin magagawa? So, 4-2, that is 4 factorial minus y factorial. So, that is 2 factorial n minus y, 4 minus 2 factorial. So, that is 4 times 3 times 2, 2 times 1 over 2 times 1 multiplied by 4 minus 2 is 2, 2 times 1. So that is 4. Yeah. So making 4, 2 is 3 times 2 is 6. Okay? Yeah. So we'll try to incorporate yung Bernoulli's formula. Actually, the Bernoulli's formula is the formula for binomial distribution. So yung B stands for binomial, the Y is kung ilan yung value na hinahanap natin. The N is the total number of sample, and the pi is the probability of success. So yan yung ating formula. The general formula is ny, the probability of success raised to y, 1 minus pi n minus y, or the probability of failure raised to n minus y. So for example, if you have 7, 20, and 0.3. So meaning out of the 20 sample, we want to find out what is the probability of having 7 at 0.3 probability of success. So nakuha nyo ba yung sinabi ko? We have 20 sample, and out of 20 sample, we want to find out what is the probability of having 7 out of the 20 for a probability of success na 0.3. Okay, having said that, we have y na 0. So for this one naman, we try to find out of four samples, what's the probability of having a 0 type O blood with 0.4 probability of success and 0.6 the probability of failure. So that is, solve muna natin tong 4 factorial, ay 4 0. So that is 4 factorial over 0 factorial multiplied by 4 minus 0 factorial. And what is the answer? Sure. What is the answer for this one? Okay, any more answer? Okay, that's what. Okay, 4 factorial is 4 times 3, 12 times 2, 24. Ang 0 factorial is 1. Kahit i-type nyo pa yan sa calcu, ang 0 factorial is equal to 1. So 4 minus 0 is 4 factorial, that is also 24. So 24 over 24 is equal to 1. Okay, then 0.4 raised to 0 is definitely 0. Sorry, 0.4 raised to 0 is what? Also. And 0.6 raised to 4. So kung ito ay 1, ito ay 1, ang sinusolve na lang natin is 0.6 raised to 4, which is 0.1296. Okay? How about dito naman, if y is 1, so for 1, ay mali. For 1, 0.4 raised to 1, 1 minus 0.4 raised to 3 minus 1. So try to solve that. And then this one, ano yung magiging final answer niya? Ay! Sandali lang ha. Sige, solve nyo muna ha. Sandali lang. Hello. Yan. Ano sagot natin dito sa 1? Okay. 0.576. 0.3456. Hindi ko alam yung sagot kasi wala akong calculator. Pero ganun lang yun naman. So, ito ay for factorial. Ginana natin. For factorial is 4, 3, 2 over 1. 4 minus 3 is 3 times 2. So that is 4. Ito ay 4 multiply by 0.4. 0.6. 0.6 raised to 2. Ano sagot? Ano sagot? Tama ba? Sir, di po ba 4 minus 1 yun? Ito ba ang tinutukoy mo? 4 minus 1 is 3. So kaya pinactorial ko na 3 times 2. Kung ito ba yung, kung tama ako na ito yung tinutukoy mong 4 minus 1. Ito. Tama. Tama. 3. So raised to 3 pala. Okay. So 0.576 pa. Tama ba? Tama ba? 0.576. 0.3. 0.3456. So. Three, 4, 5, and 6 point. So yun, susunod-sunodin mo lang 4 over 2, 4 over 3, 4, 3, 4, 4. And so on. Hanggang ma-kompleto mo. So that's how you do the binomial distribution. May question ba tayo dito? Kung paano siya nakuha, paano siya nagagawa? You can look for a binomial. Kung ayaw mo na mag-solve ng mga ganitong problem, you can look for a binomial distribution table. So meron ng mga readily available na table wherein kung nakaset ang probabilities of success sa mga commonly used like 0.3, 0.5, 0.7, ganun yung probability of success 0.9, 0.10, and then kung ilan yung sample, let's say nakalimit siya sa 20, ganun. So, You can look for that. For the sake of our examinations or sa mga ano natin, we'll stick with 4 decimal places. Kasi ito ay 0 to 1 lagi. So, kailangan natin ng accurate na value. So, we try to get the most accurate one. So, we'll stick with 4 decimal places. Right. Any more question? Okay. If wala na, then kaya ko na ta. Okay, for testing hypotheses, remember the discussion on how do we solve for a problem. So for testing hypothesis, meron tayong mga methods na ginagamit, like you state the null hypothesis, you state the alternative hypothesis, you establish the level of rejection and the region of rejection, perform the experiment and observe the outcome and draw the conclusion. So parang ito, when you want to connect it on the first topic, this one starts at you're looking at the gap. You're looking at the value, the numerical value of the gap. May nagtanong, Sir, exam po ba namin more on computation din po? Yes, because it's statistical analysis. Pero meron din mga descriptive identification, parang mata ko na. Anyway, so nag-start to sa middle part ng ating identification of problem until to recommending a conclusion. For step 1, you state the null hypothesis. In this experiment, 0.5, the pi probability of success is 0.5. That is the under chance alone. The probability of a newborn calf being female is 0.5. In other words, the treatment has no effect on the sex ratio. The theoretical probability distribution, if the null hypothesis is BY20.5, this experiment can be done in such a way that it satisfies 5 conditions of a binomial experiment. There are only 2 possible outcomes, which is magkaroon siya ng lalaking calf or the female calf. There will be a repeated number of trials for 20. If the null hypothesis is true, female calf is 0.5 for each trial. The 20 cows can be selected at random. And the semen can be also selected at random from different pools, ensuring independence from trial to trial. The physiologist is interested in the statistics. Why? In this experiment, a number of female cows born. So why is it important to have, kumbaga parang i-relate ko lang. Ito is out of the context. But why is it that the problem seems to care more of the female cows rather than the female calf? Because mas marami kang makukuhang produkto kung ang isisilang is a female cows. Like you can get milk, you can get more of the offspring, pwede kang, yun, pwede siya magbuntis na ano. Kung bull yan, ano lang siya talaga, for mating purposes lang ang kanyang magiging role or for its meat lang. So mas maganda pa rin na female calf ang maging offspring. Anyway, going back to the topic, ang probability of success niya is 0.5. So meaning male has a chance to get, or the chances of getting a male over the female is the same. Okay? So that is your null hypothesis. The alternative hypothesis will contradict the null hypothesis. Yun ang purpose naman ng alternative hypothesis. Kung ang sinasabi mo sa null hypothesis mo na equal lang ang ratio ni male and female, paano mo sasalungatin yon, yung statement na yon? Ano yung parang pangsalungat natin doon sa statement na equal lang ang result or equal lang ang chances na male or female ang maging offspring? Ano ang pang-alternative hypothesis natin doon? Nasasalungat sa null hypothesis. Ano magandang ano natin doon? Okay, ano ang magiging null hypothesis natin? Wild guess? Asan na? Okay, okay yung sagot niya. Use the term not to restate the hypothesis. Or, kasi we want to be, yung null hypothesis kasi tsaka alternative hypothesis is numerical. So pag sinabi natin not to, ibig sabihin, tama naman yung sagot niya, not to, pwede natin sabihin that the alternative hypothesis is the probability of success is not equal to 0.5. Kasi yung null hypothesis natin is equal to 0.5. Therefore, ang alternative hypothesis natin is not equal to 5. So parang pwedeng 0.6, 0.4, gano'n. But not 0.5, definitely. Kasi yun nga yung kinokontra ko. So the alternative hypothesis is not equal to 0.5. Okay, establish the level of rejection and the region of rejections. It is so important because if we want to make a conclusion, we want to determine ano lang yung i-accept natin or yung values. Kasi remember that the value or the y na gagamitin natin is from 0 to 20 kasi 20 yung sample natin. But alin lang dyan ang pwede nating consider. So look at the binomial distribution BY20.5. He wants to set a rejection level as close to 0.5 as possible. So kaya meron tayong distribution table, binomial distribution table. Kasi hindi na tayo magko-compute isa-isa from 0 to 20. Yung ginawa natin kanina. Kaya meron na tayong binomial distribution table. So, kung titingnan natin dito, we want to pattern this one on that. So, saan tayo titingin? Titingin tayo dito sa Y20.5. So, he wants to set a region of rejection as close to 0.5. Bakit 0.5? Ito is default natin na ginagamit natin. Ibig sabihin, meron tayong significance level na 5%. So, ibig sabihin, yun lang yung ina-accept natin. So, ano yung rejection level na ano yung magiging rejection level natin? So, i-reject natin siya kapag siya ay not within 0.05. However, kung mapapansin natin, ang ginamit natin na alternative hypothesis is not equal. Ang null hypothesis natin is 0.5. Ang alternative hypothesis natin is not equal to 0.5. Meaning, it is either 0.5 pababa or 0.5 pataas. So, it's a two-tail. Ang distribution natin is two-tail. Ganyan. So, meron tayong dalawang buntot. So, therefore, ang i-accept natin is kalahati ng 0.5. So, 0.025. Within the 0.05 or below 0.025, we reject it. So, ano yun? Kung titingnan natin dito, alin dyan ang 0.25 hanggang dito sa 5. Sa baba naman, 0.025 is until here. Okay? Therefore, 6 to 14 ang ating region of acceptance. Anong significant? Tingnan natin sa susunod na slide. So tandaan nyo yan, ang region of acceptance natin is 6 to 14. Kasi yun lang yung pumasok sa 0.025. So the experiment is now performed and suppose 6 males and females are born. You're now going to conduct an experiment. If the null hypothesis is true, the expected number of cubs would be 20 times 0.510. Since the number of female cubs observed in this experiment is y is equals to 14, the physiologist cannot be especially encouraged by the deviation of a number expected by chance alone. However, in this statistical procedure, decisions are based on the probability of deviation of this magnitude or greater when the treatment is needed. So to draw the conclusion, the significance level and the region of rejection merely specify priority prior to the experiment. Those outcomes can be considered plausible and those that would unusual when the null hypothesis is true. In this experiment, outcomes of less than 6 or more than 14 occur 0.042 of the time. If the null hypothesis is true, since y is 14, it's not in the region of rejection. The physiologist does not reject the null hypothesis. Meaning, tama yung kanyang assessment na wala talagang pagkakaiba or hindi nakaapekto sa offspring na 0.5 pa rin ang chance na magkakaroon ng lalaki or babae na offspring. Okay, nakuha ba yon? Paano tayo nagpunta sa does not reject the null hypothesis or we accept the null hypothesis? Paano tayo umabot dito sa point na to? Yan. Nakuha niyo ba yan? Kung bakit tayo umabot yan? Kuha niyo ba? Tanong niyo kung nalalabuan kayo. Okay. So ulitin ko na lang just for the sake of the discussion. So bakit siya umabot sa does not reject the null hypothesis? Since ang kanyang experiment, ang lumabas na offspring is 14, nasa within siya ng region of acceptance. Remember that the region of acceptance is from 6 to 14. Yan ang ating region of acceptance. Ibig sabihin, kung ang female mo na cubs is resulted to 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 14, we accept the null hypothesis. Tama siya. So yun lang naman yung naging nangyari. Kung bakit natin does not or we accept the null hypothesis rather. Okay? May question ba tayo? So, I give this example to you and you try to maybe picturean nyo para mapag-aralan nyo kung paano ang gagawin. Okay? Okay, I'll give you 5 seconds to check this one. Okay, finish na. Then, we will go to drafting. Okay. Okay, so kung nakapag-submit na kayo ng plate number 1 and plate number 2, then you have to submit plate number 3. Remember the discussion about the dimension. So yung plate number 3 will be titled as dimensions. Yung kung paano siya gagawin, then I will give you a sample of figure and you try to replicate it given all the dimensions na napag-aralan natin. Andun na rin yun. So, kukopihin nyo lang yun, ito-transfer nyo lang siya sa CAD layout. So, that's plate number 3. Okay, now for our discussion for today, we'll discuss the layer. Okay, so we have LA. Ang shortcut natin for layer is LA. Ang gagawin pala natin ngayon is what we call the floor plan or yung plano ng bahay. Now, dati pa, ginagamit na natin ang layer. Magamit tayo ng floor plan. The importance of layer is to distinguish or to separate yung mga group of drawings with other group of drawings. So, yun yung purpose naman ng layer. So, meron tayong ginagamit na layer. And under the default settings ng layer, meron tayong depth points, meron tayong 0. Itong dimension din nagdag ko lang to kanina. Now, if we want to add layers, like, sino na ba sa inyo ang familiar sa isang floor plan? Meron ba familiar sa inyo sa floor plan? Kung nakakita na kayo ng floor plan, ano ang usually nakikita nyong item sa isang floor plan? Yes.
Kalimitan po may furnitures, windows, doors, pati walls po.
Okay, very good. Pero except, I will exclude the furnitures. Sa mga floor plan kasi, what is important is kung internal ano yan, internal, ano nga yun? Internal interior designer. Kung interior design yan, relevant ang furniture. Kung floor plan, it's more of yung plano sa bahay, like yung plumbing layouts, structural layout, electrical layout, mechanical layout, fire protection layout, auxiliary layout, including the PubDAS data, ano nga to, smoke detector, and so on. Yes. So, ang gagawin natin ngayon is just the basic how to make a floor plan. So nabanggit na ni Botter kanina ano yung mga components. So nabanggit niya ang walls, nabanggit niya ang doors, ang windows. Yon. So yun yung mga component. But meron pang mga iba that I wish to discuss it more to you. Like for example, dagdag na natin yung sinabi niya. Ano to? So maglalagay ako ng layer. Pag nag-add kayo ng layer, you click this. Yung sun. So lagay ko, halimbawa wall. Add ako uli ng layer, I put it door. Add ako uli ng layer, I put here window. Add ako ng layer, I put wall, door, window, and then column. Column is sa Tagalog yung poste. So yung column represents the foundation of the house or yung kanyang skeletal o yung structure. So kaya importante ang column. Aside from this, sa mga component ng floor plan, we have the grid line and the dimension. Okay? So once you set all the components or the layer, we change the color. So kaya tayo nagbabago ng color para ma-distinguish natin kung ano yung mga magkakasama. Okay? So we put here the wall. Wall is green. I set here green. For doors, I set it 1 o yung red. For window, ganun din, number 1 din, color number 1. For column, I put it color number 4 or cyan. And then for grid line, I color it 8 or gray. Yung dimension, I color it number 2 or yung yellow. Okay? So once you set all the layer, exit ko na to. Then we'll proceed with the foundation of the floor plan. For example, I want to build a room na 10 by 10 or 10 meter by 10 meter. Now, if we try to make an AutoCAD, we will use the metric muna. Metric lang pala. At ang pinaka-smallest na value ang gagamitin natin, which is millimeter. So, we'll stick with millimeter ha. So, kung 10 meter yan, by 10 meter, then ang katumbas niya sa MMI, 10,000. Okay? So, we'll start with the construction line first for the vertical and horizontal line. So once you have your vertical line, i-offset natin yan by 10,000. Yan, kasi yan ang ating mismong area. Then after nun, i-offset natin siya ng 2,000 palabas. Ang purpose niyan is para matrim na natin yung ating floor plan. And then, delete the outer lines. Okay? So once you delete it, pwede na tayong maglagay ng wall. So makikita nyo dito sa ribbon sa taas, nandyan ang layer. Ilalagay ko lang siya sa under the, ang tawag dito, under the layer of wall. So pag nilagay ko siya sa layer ng wall, pwede na akong mag-drawing ng wall. So ang gagamitin ko to draw the wall is ML. Ang standard natin sa kapal ng wall is 150 for outside wall and 100 for inner wall. Ibig sabihin ng outside wall, ang ibig sabihin nun, yung one part, ito, kung halimbawa ito yung pader, yung one part is sa loob ng bahay, the other part is sa labas ng bahay. So outer wall yon. Yung inner wall naman dito sa part na to is bahay pa rin and then nasa kabila is bahay pa rin. Ano example na inner wall? Yung partition sa kwarto. So yung pader na nagpa-partition from bedroom 1 to bedroom 2, we call it the inner wall. Yung outer wall, ang example is halimbawa yung pader na sa pundasyon ng bahay. So yung halimbawa, ito is nasa garahe ka na na part, so outside na yun. Consider na outside, we call it the outer wall. So for this instance, let's assume that yung ikakabit kong wall sa pagitan ng 10 by 10 is an outside wall. So maglagay ako ng ML, that is, nakadesign na siya ng 150, which is outside wall. Then ito trace ko lang, and then that's it. You have your wall. After nun, explode ko lang. Then we'll proceed with, tapos na ako sa wall, punta na tayo sa column. Column is the foundation of the house. Ang standard size natin na gagamitin is 400 by 400. Okay? So once you have your column, i-drag lang natin siya and then move. Then M2P para makuha natin yung gitna ng wall, ay ng column, and then place natin siya sa gitna ng grid line. Okay, then after nun is MI ko siya. Then MI ko to. MI is mirror. Ini-mirror ko lang siya. Then, maglalagay din ako ng column sa gitna. Okay. Okay, then mi-mirror ko na siya. Then after nun, kapag meron na akong ida-drag ko tong part na to para ilagay ko siya sa grid line. Okay, by the way, balik tayo sa layer. Lahat ng line type is continuous except for grid line. Yung grid line is gagawin nyo siyang phantom line. Okay? Siya lang naman yung naka-phantom. Then, ang grid line is positioned always sa gitna ng column. So, kaya itong grid line na to, maglalagay din tayo dito. And then, ito din, maglalagay din tayo sa gitna niya. So, tapos na tayo. Hindi pa tayo tapos sa grid line. Kasi lalagyan pa natin siya ng indicator. So, let's say, we have here, couple. Lagay ko lang to sa grid line. Okay, grid line. And then, po-position ko siya sa gitna. And then, copy na lang. Ganon din dito. So, once naglagay ka na ng bubble sa taas, hindi mo na kailangan lagyan ng bubble yung baba. After nun, gumawa tayo ng text. And then, maglagay tayo ng indicator. So, lagawin ko lang itong 200. Ay, laki. Okay. Now, remember kung paano tayo nagigitna ng text. Punta kayo ng MO. Hanapin yung justify, middle center. Click nyo yung box sa gitna and then lagay nyo sa center ng circle. Then, copy nyo na lang yung text. Ayan, paglalagyan nyo na text yan sa gitna. Okay, once na meron na ang text sa gitna, baguhin nyo yung text. Kung ito ay A, yung kabila, ito naman ay B na. And then ito ay C. Now, once meron ka na So once na meron ka na letter dito, kung ano yung kung letter ang ginamit mo dito, dapat dito hindi na letter. Ito ay magiging number na. Okay? Then, yeah, that's it. Tapos na tayo sa grid line. Next, ang gagawin na natin is the doors. Sino na nakikita ng itsura ng doors sa floor plan? At ano ang kanyang itsura?
Para po siyang naka-angle na something.
Naka-angle? What do you mean?
Naka-open po siya, sir. Hindi po siya yung parang naka-close. Naka-open po yung pagkakalagay niya po sa floor plan.
Okay. So, napipicture out ko siya sabi ko. Ang door kasi, ang pinipicture out ng door sa isang floor plan is the door jamb, the door itself, and tsaka yung opening niya. Kung paano siya bumubukas. Okay, let's reflect it on a drawing. So, for example, ang kapal ng aking door jamb is 50 mm. And then, yung kanyang thickness is the same as the thickness of the wall. So, kung 150 ang ginamit mo, then ang dimension mo is 50 by 150. Okay, then mag-drawing ka ng line. Ang door natin is meron din standard yan. For main doors, we have 900 mm. For rooms, bedrooms, ang ginagamit natin is 800 mm and for comfort room, we have 600 mm. So, yan yung mga sizes ng ating pinto. Kaya mapapansin mo, bakit maliit yung pintuan ng CR? Kasi yun lang yung kanyang advisable na sizes. Sorry, yung room pala is 800 to 700 mm. Okay? So, naglagay ako ng line doon sa gitna para to indicate lang na ano yung magiging purpose niya. For me, bedroom to, kaya ang size niya is 900. So, naglagay ako ng line na 900. Then, dinrawing ko yung dalawang door jamb. Then, after no, maglagay ka uli ng rectangle dito sa gitna, ay sa gilid, and then 50 by 900. So, once na meron ka na ng pintuan mismo, maglalagay ka ng arc. Adjust ko lang para maganda. And that is how na nag-open. So, parang ganito yan. Yan, parang ganyan. So, ang buka ng pinto is pa ganyan. Okay? Yes.
Sir, yung sa floor plan po na gagawin namin, ganyang door lang po ba yung gagamitin namin or pwede po kaming gumamit ng sliding doors, mga ganun po?
Yes, pwede naman. Pwede kayong gumamit ng sliding doors or yung sa mga garage ano nga ba yun? Yung inaangat. Basta yun. Or pwede kayong gumamit ng gate. Depende kung ano yung gusto nyo. But I emphasize this one kasi ito yung common na nakikita sa mga floor plan. Pero depende nga sa ito. Okay, going back. So let's say ipupwesto ko na to sa aking wall. Let's say 100. Yan. And then, ang gagawin mo is i-delete mo na tong wall na to. Wala na siyang purpose. So, yan. So, papasok siya sa kwarto to boring. Now, ano yung mga next? Kung meron na akong pintuan, maglalagay din ako ng bintana as well. Okay, ganun lang din yon. Para ka lang din nagdo-drawing ng pintuan. Kasi maglalagay ka muna ng door jamb. Ang thickness is the same as the thickness of the wall. Tama ba yung nilagay mo? So, fine. Okay. Then, copy mo lang. Let's say 1,000 in distance. Pwede mo yang etong ginagawa kong symbol ng pintana is yung kung nakapasok na kayo ng PUP, binyan, yung mga bintana natin doon na ditulak pa. Yung meron siyang close, para siyang pintuan din, ditulak. Is meron siya. Yeah, ito yung symbol na yon. Now, pwede din kayong gumamit ng mga sliding window, yung mga Japanese window, or kaya pwede kayong gumamit ng ayan, Japanese window, glass window, yan. Yan yung mga pwede nyo gamitin. Ito yung typical na ginagamit natin sa bahay. Hindi ko lang. Modern na kasi ang mga bahay minsan. So once you're settled with that, pwede nyo na siyang ikabit. Gigitna ko lang. Yan. Kung dalawa yung pintuan, pwede nyo naman pagsabayin yun. Make this. Yan. Ang dalawa yung binubuksan nyo. Okay, so okay, tapos na tayo sa window. Punta tayo sa dimension. So in dimension, DLI ka lang, grid to grid ang paglagay ng dimension. Then DCO mo na kung nakapagawa ka na ng isang DLI. Ganun din sa baba. DLI ka, grid to grid. And then isang malaking DLI. Yan. Ganun din sa baba. Maglalagay ka din ng isang malaking, yung dulo to dulo lang na grid. Okay? Question sa floor plan? Tapos na yun. Yun lang naman yung kailangan natin. Doors, window, wall, column, dimension, and grid lines. Question?
Sir, sa plate po na gagawin namin, floor plan po talaga namin yung gagawin namin. I mean, idea po namin or may ibibigay po kayong mga dimensions pa or something po.
Wala. For plate
Okay
number 4, for plate number 4, ang gagawin nyo is either pwede nyong gawin yung floor plan ng bahay nyo. Kung nalalakihan kayo, kung malaki yung bahay nyo talaga at nahihirapan kayong gawin yung floor plan ng bahay nyo, you can do the floor plan ng inyong kwarto lang. Okay? So, yun yung inyong plate number 4. Floor plan ng bahay or floor plan ng kwarto. Basta, kailangan present lahat ng components na diniscuss natin. Hindi kayo pwede maglagay ng mag-floor plan ng kwarto na wala namang pinto or kaya walang bintana. So, dapat meron component na lahat. Meron siyang poste, gano'n. Yung plate number 3 is dimension. Yung dinidiscuss ko kanina. May i-attach yung drawing, i-replicate nyo lang siya para ma-apply nyo lang yung mga dimensions. Okay? Question?
Sir, may concern lang po about po sa plate number 2. Kasi po sir, nung sa plate ko po is, nang na-finalize ko na po siya, na-render ko na po siya and na-convert to PDF po. Yung ibang sections po sa coloring is kumakalat. Pero pag tinignan naman po sa model view is okay naman po siya, sir. So paano po siya ayusin pag nagkaganon po?
Sige, i-ano natin yan, i-discuss natin yan, schedule kita ng i-schedule kita ng individual Zoom para ma-check natin.
Sir, ask din po sana. May part din po sa akin na after po matapos yung mismong tracing and yung pag-hatch po, bigla po yung mga lines, imbis na art po dapat, bigla po siyang nag-3 line. Parang naging, for example, naging, yung circle po,
Parang
naging
pattern.
naging pattern po, naging straight line po yung mga circle.
Sige,
Ganun po
ganun
yung
din.
nangyari.
Sasabay ko na lang kayo ni Potter. Para makita ko din kung paano ginawa. Okay? Any more question?
Sir,
Yes.
yun sa akin po sir, pag i-ano na po, yung i-save na yung WDG to PDF, pag pinupunta po yung sa properties, nakaano po agad yung yung margin niya naka-zero. Kaya po pag ipa-plot na hindi po siya lumalapat.
Ganon. Sige, ganon din. Sasabay-sabay ko lang kayo. Ikaw, sino nga ba? Si Maricar, no? Ibibigay na lang ko ng link kay Maricar. Para pasok na lang yung may mga doon, question o violent reaction. Wala pa tayong deadline sa plate 3 and 4. Sige. Tuloy ko lang kailangan ko munang tapusin tong floor plan. Then, mapapansin nyo yung sa mga plano, kung nakakita na kayo ng plano, meron meron tayong tinatawag na estimator. Di ba? Kasi ang plano kasi is the resize view or resize dimension ng isang bahay. Halimbawa, kung ang bahay mo is 10,000 square meter, kaya ba magkasya sa plano yon? Or kaya ba natin siyang i-convert into plan? So, ang ginagawa natin, nire-resize natin siya. Sinishrink natin yung value para magkasya siya sa plano. Ganon din dito. sa ating gagawin natin sa floor plan. Kasi kung 100 square meter yan, hindi yan kasya sa A4. So, ang gagawin natin is i-scale natin. Yun yung tamang term, scaling. So, halimbawa, MB, andun yung drawing ko. So, ang ginagawa natin sa plate number 1 and 2, ginigitna lang natin siya. Now, yung mga estimator, hindi nila alam kung paano nila nalalaman na ganito kadaming tubo ang gagamitin, ganito kadaming hollow blocks ang gagamitin, ganito karaming semento ang gagamitin kung hindi siya nakascale. Pero once na nakascale siya, let's say, ang nasukat niya na dimension is 8 guhit sa ruler, so 8 mm halimbawa. I-convert niya yun sa number of scale. Let's say, ang scale niya is 1:100. So, sa kada sukat niya ng 1 mm sa ruler, katumbas nun is 100 mm na sa actual. So, yun. So, 100 mm pala. Okay, nakasukat ako ng 1 mm. So, 100 mm pala. So, ibig sabihin, iaalat ko yun ng semento, ng hollow blocks, ng bakal, gano'n. So, madedetermine niya yung pag-estimate. So, paano natin gagawin yon? Sa atin naman, kung tayo ang nag-i-scale. Kasi tayo yung drafter. Sila is implementer and estimator. Okay. So, ang gagawin natin is mag-i-input tayo ng Z space S space 1 XP. So, yan yung ating gagawing command. Yung Z or yung Z, ang command na yan is zoom. So, yun yung nakikita nyo dito sa, di ba kaya hindi ko tinuro sa inyo yung zoom? Ayan, kasi meron tayong trackball. Pero, may purpose ang zoom. So, pag dinouble click ko tong MB ko, so Z space, enter the scale factor 1 over, let's say 100. XP. So, ibig sabihin yan, sa kada sukat ko ng 1 mm, ang katumbas nun sa actual is 100 mm. So, pag in-enter ko yan, iyan yung tamang actual scale niya. Now, ano kayo mangyayari kapag nilitan ko yung scale value? Let's say, 1:80 XP ang nilagay ko. Ano kaya mangyayari sa drawing? Lalaki or liliit? May chat pala. Yes, tama. Correct. Lalaki siya. Kasi, pag in-enter ko, enter. Lalaki siya. Kasi the more na yung value ng denominator is closest to 1, ibig sabihin, nagiging realistic yung kanyang size. So, kung 1:1 yan, ibig sabihin, ilalagay mo siya sa 100 by, dapat magkasya yung 100 square meter sa isang papel. Okay? So, habang papaliit naman yung size ng denominator, papaliit naman ang papaliit yung drawing. Say, yes, question? Let's say, gawin ko siya 200 XP. Liliit yung drawing natin. So, now, hindi naman tayo naglalagay ng mga komplikadong ratio din. Like for example, naglagay ka 1:75.5 XP or naglagay ka 1:64 XP. So, nahihirapan naman yung estimator na gawin yon kasi sila yung nagko-compute, nag-estimate kung magkano kung ilang materials pa ang gagamitin. So, kaya kailangan dapat nasa fixed tayo mga scale like 1:10, 1:100, 1:150, 1:75, 1:50. So doon lang tayo. Huwag na tayo mag 1:68 XP. So i-consider din natin yung mag-i-implement. Okay? So for example, ito yung room at na-scale mo siya ng 1:100. Then ang gagawin mo ng sunod is ilagay dito yung scale para ako as titingin, ako naman yung magiging reader nyo, alam ko kung ano yung scale na ginamit nyo. So kung halimbawa nilagay nyo is 1:100, lagay nyo 1:100 mm. Okay? And then yung pangalan ng kwarto. Ito is kanina kasi. Yan. So maglalagay kayo ng bilog and then line sa gitna and then the text yung pangalan ng kwarto or pangalan ng bahay. Halimbawa, si Henry's house. Tapos ang scale is to 1:1 ganyan. Okay? Question sa scaling? Sir, pagkakamali po ba yung estimator, hindi rin masusunod? Ano? Pag nagkamali po ba ang estimator, hindi na rin masusunod yung floor plan? Ulit, isa pa. Sir, pag nagkamali po ba yung estimator, hindi na rin masusunod yung floor plan? Hindi ko mag-gets yung tanong. Okay. Pag nagkamali po ba yung estimator, hindi na rin masusunod yung floor plan. Ang floor plan talaga ang critical kasi diyan yung pagbabasihan nila ng estimation. Now, kung hindi nila unang hula si estimator ng malalaman mo naman yun base sa floor plan. Okay? Kasi malalaman mo mali yun kasi prior to halimbawa kung eto medyo tini-technical ko na. Kung halimbawa ikaw ay magpapabid ng bahay, meron kang internal na estimate, pinapa-estimate mo na siya sa internal. Pero hindi siya yung gagawa, pinapa-estimate mo na siya. Let's say, sa estimate niya, 100,000 po, sir, ang magagastos mo dito, halimbawa. Tapos, pinabid mo na siya. Ngayon, si estimator na isa is nang hula, ang binid niya sa'yo is 300,000. Magugulat ka kasi, nung pina-estimate ko nga yan, ang lumabas na 100,000, ba't sa'yo 300,000? So, doon, pwede mo nang i-weigh. Or pwedeng mas malapit doon or mas maliit pa doon. Yun, depende. Kung mas maliit naman, magduda ka rin. Eh, baka merong mga tinanggal siya na item doon or meron siyang hindi na consider na isisingil niya rin sa'yo eventually as variation order or yun, additives. Okay? Question? Okay.
Clarify ko lang po. Plate 4 po ba yan, sir, or plate 3?
Plate 4. Yung plate 3 is dimension. Bibigay ko yung gagayahin yung drawing pag in-upload ko na sa assignment. Okay?
Okay po, sir. Thank you po.
Okay. Huwag niyong kalimutan pala once na naset niyo na yung scale, di ba nakaganyan kayo, huwag niyong kalimutan na mag-right click. Right click and then yung asa na yun? Sorry. Wala na pala dito. Yun. Ito. Huwag niyo palang kakalimutan na i-right click dito sa MB ha. Yung sa MB nyo, i-right click nyo, hanapin nyo yung display lock. I-lock nyo siya lagi. Once na finish na kayong mag-scale. Kasi once na pumasok ka, uli, kahit i-zoom in, zoom out mo na yan, hindi na mababago yung scale niya. Nandun na pa rin. Okay? Para lang ma-secure nyo yung scale. Kasi once na trackball nyo yan, mababago na naman yung zoom. Uulit ka na lang. Okay, question? Okay, if wala na, pwede bang pa-turn on ng cam para sa ating photo op? Okay, so we have 3 frames. I hope everybody turn on their cam. Okay, 1, 2, 3. Thank you. Wait lang ha, 3 frames to ha. Second frame. 1, 2, 3. Then, third frame. 1, 2, 3. Okay, thank you. Yung recording ng last time and then ngayon, isi-send ko na lang, i-upload ko na lang ulit. Para may reference kayo dun ulit sa dimension. Okay. Thank you, everyone. Pwede tayo
Thank you
mag-leave.
po.
Thank you.
Thank you po.
Thank you po, sir. Ingat po kayo.
Bye. Ingat. Thank you.